Buckingham Palace has confirmed the passing of Catherine, Duchess of Kent, a woman of uncommon modesty, quiet dignity, and an almost monastic love of music. She deliberately stepped away from the spotlight, chose to live as Mrs. Kent, and spent years teaching children without ever flashing a calling card crowned with a coronet. Her students often didn't even realize who was sitting at the piano. In a world that mistakes loudness for importance, Catherine chose the opposite: service without fanfare. And yet, the moment the palace posted a brief condolence, the news cycle snapped into its old routine. Will Harry and Meghan come? Will there be that on-camera reunion? Which outfit, which words, which shot? Once again, someone else's farewell is treated like someone else's stage. The scene itself is simple and therefore fragile: a private Catholic requiem, family, close friends, a priest, an organ, dark cloth on the pews. It's one of those rare settings where even titles remove their crowns, because in church everyone is simply a person. Translated into Sussex speak? No red carpet. No press pool. No exclusive from an insider who caught the glance. If anyone insists on making a story, the only story here is that there should be none. The contrast that set comments ablaze is painfully clear. Catherine stands for silence, for voluntary, invisible work, the kind of service without quotation marks that doesn't explain itself to the world, it just gets on with it. The Sussexes have become symbols of an era where the camera goes on first and the reason is found later. Where she built music clubs in modest neighborhoods for years and never needed a round of applause, they burned bridges to feed new episodes and subscription catharsis. And today that same template tries to intrude on a church threshold: entry by media badge, storyboards instead of candles, a press quote in place of a prayer. Another detail jarred even those trying not to react: Harry's private condolences, neatly circulated, by a press secretary. Privacy announced by press is a genre now. It's like stepping into the town square with a loudspeaker and whispering, "Just between us." By contrast, William and Catherine's message felt different. Not a pose, not the boilerplate "we are deeply saddened," but specific names and living memories where the deceased is a person, not a symbol. You can hear the difference even with the sound off. Then comes the old mantra about dangerous Britain. The country labeled toxic, the press predatory, the family cold. Yet the moment a camera beckons, flights appear, schedules open, and exceptional circumstances are quickly interpreted to fit. Just not with the children, who, as a rule, stay where the frame is safer. And if a trip happens, what will the lens find: the quiet of the service, or an exclusive behind the scenes of someone's step across the church floor? Let's be honest, the Duchess of Kent was hardly a close figure for Meghan. Still, give it a week and expect the standard genre kit: a secret talk that changed everything, wise advice I'll never forget, an unseen bond between two women. The content market abhors a vacuum and fills it professionally with editing. If reality won't produce the scene, it will be sketched in with according to a source close to. Meanwhile, in the background stands the Duke of Kent, elderly, worn down by loss, for whom this day should be about his wife, not Sussex Chronicles. He is perhaps the least marketing-minded person in the whole picture, and likely prays for one thing: no wall of lenses at the door and no attempt to squeeze content out of a farewell. It's the rare prayer even cynics can respect. Supporters will argue, so what? They're family. They have a right to be there. True. But having a right doesn't mean creating a storyline. A funeral is not a stage for revanche, proofs, symbolic gestures, or signals to the world. It isn't the next episode of a long-running drama where every gesture is decoded as a series arc. It is silence, where even royal houses set crowns aside, and tabloids certainly should. When a life ends, roles wind down. Anyone trying to claim the shot at that moment is, in effect, claiming someone else's tears. To be fair, the original sin isn't only theirs. The media industry has learned a simple formula: any event with royal attached must also be about the Sussexes. A wedding? Where are Harry and Meghan seated? A jubilee? Why weren't they invited? A birth? How did they react? A death? Will they come and what will they wear? Still, the grown-up professional stance is not to feed that reflex. What isn't about them should remain not about them, especially the final journey of a woman who spent her life turning the volume down. There's another fact many prefer to forget. Harry burned too many bridges through interviews, the book, and endless confessions that carefully left room for yet another round. People who value privacy, and the Kents are exactly that kind, don't erase such chapters from memory. Expecting a warm family welcome at a funeral is naive. Their house closes not only with doors, it closes with a habit of silence. And silence is stronger than any no-press sign. Why does this case irritate so much? Because it sums up everything that now erodes trust in the couple. This isn't about politics, media bias, or complicated relationships. It's about simple ethical settings. Don't make content from someone else's grief, don't center yourself in another's remembrance, don't announce privacy via a press office, don't retrofit bonds that weren't there, don't confuse sacred rights with a social feed. There are no sides here, only a human distance that must not be crossed. The senior royals, Charles, Camilla, William, Catherine, will attend. It is their family, their memory, their words inside silence. They don't need to break into the news cycle to remain in history. They remain precisely because they learned long ago to tell ritual from spectacle. If that seems boring or not television, that is the point. Funerals should be boring to cameras. That is their function, to protect the living from needless eyes and to let the departed go without echoes. Another line here is faith. Catherine was Catholic, and that isn't a formality. A Catholic farewell is not a debate, a press huddle, or an American-style celebration of life. It is a penitent, restrained rite where silence, prayer, and humility matter. Anything that contradicts that tone, scenes, signals, gestures is out of place. It would be as jarring as live-streaming someone's confession. Even if the temptation to catch the moment is strong. Understanding that difference marks adulthood, not infantilism. Adulthood is knowing how to stand by the wall and be nobody for a minute when that is right. Infantilism is believing that if you weren't in the frame, you weren't there. Catherine was there without the frame. Her legacy lives in the children she brought to music, the teachers she inspired by example, and the rarest thing in our time, respected quiet. That is what the Sussexes have never mastered, being important without being conspicuous. So, something simple and final. This is not their story. No secret friendship, no deep connection, no signals of reconciliation. The Duchess of Kent's farewell belongs to her family, her faith, her decision to live without the benefits of fame. Everything else is intrusion. And intrusion at a funeral is always a moral failure, however elegantly packaged. The conclusion, without rhetoric. If Harry and Meghan wish to show respect, the best act is to stay home. Not because they are unworthy or bad, but because sometimes respect is absence. An empty seat that doesn't steal attention is more honest than any perfect gesture. Silence that needs no press release is louder than any exclusive quote. And a shadow that never falls across someone else's candles is better than any smile for the camera. As for us, let's do what the carnival cannot, let silence be silence. Catherine, Duchess of Kent, chose to live without fanfare and left the same way, quietly. Let's not turn her last road into another episode. Funerals are not a Netflix premiere. That's a rule worth remembering, for everyone.